Software development methodologies, or SDM, have been a hot topic in the field of information technology, or IT, over the past 60-some-odd years. Since business analysis is a critical initial activity that develops the requirements for an IT application, it will be impacted by the respective SDM. In this module, I'd like to introduce the 4 most common types of SDM and present some insights into the nature of the influence that each has on your business analysis activities. A software development lifecycle, SDLC, aka SDM or Software Development Methodology, is a workflow for delivering and maintaining an information technology solution. Basically, it consists of a set of activities, tasks, or steps that create one or more needed deliverables or artifacts, i.e. a requirements document, a training program, a database design, the program code, etc. The ultimate deliverable of a methodology is a deployed or installed solution, including manual and automated components, that its intended target audience can use. As a business analyst, you're a major player in the process of defining the solution. Therefore, you need to understand how the methodology influences your requirements elicitation, specification, and documentation. Each type of software development methodology handles changes in the requirements over the life of the project differently. How do the different methodologies affect your requirements definition efforts? As the individual responsible for translating business needs into requirements at various levels of detail, you will be involved in specific aspects of the project at different times and at different levels of intensity. The major differences have to do with the level of detail of the requirements, the timing of the requirements analysis and specification activities, and the form in which you document the requirements. The 3 different types of methodologies currently in use are structured, iterative, and agile. Actually, there is a 4th approach. The ad hoc, aka chaotic approach, assumes you have very little knowledge of what you're doing or how to get it done. This approach is essential when a revolutionary new technology is introduced. There are no clearly defined activities or deliverables, and work progresses in a whatever needs to get done flow. As a side note, the method is often disparagingly referred to as the Cal-Tal-Pal approach: code a little, test a little, pray a lot. Since little is known about what needs to be done when, requirement activities tend to be ad hoc, spur-of-the-moment tasks that seldom involve a full-time business analyst. Often, the need for requirements is not obvious until a fully developed solution fails to meet the customer's needs. Changing requirements often lead to considerable unscheduled rework in this approach, as the customer rejects one solution after another. Due to its lack of definition, this approach is seldom referred to as a methodology. Structured or waterfall approaches apply a rigorous sequence of tasks and deliverables to the process of delivering a solution. The tasks are typically subdivided into phases such as planning, analysis, design, development, testing, and deploying. Each phase creates a major deliverable, i.e. business case, requirements document, design specification, etc., that can be evaluated by the appropriate authorities to reach a conscious decision whether or not to continue with the next phase. The original SDM that was developed in the 60s and set the foundation for future methodologies was called the System Development Lifecycle, or SDLC. Following that philosophy, in all structured methodologies, the analysis phase is primarily the responsibility of the business analyst. During this phase, requirements are elicited, documented, analyzed, and specified. Once the deliverable of the analysis phase has been accepted, changes to the requirements undergo analysis based on a rigorous change management protocol. The business analyst is typically a member of the Change Review Board. Due to the challenges and associated costs that changing requirements posed to structured methodologies, The idea of iterative development emerged in the 70s and 80s. Iterative approaches assume that while the overall project goals and objectives remain relatively constant, the development of the solution will cause the needs to change, and that will require modifications to the delivered solution. Iterative methodologies break the tasks of delivering IT solutions into smaller chunks and break the project into a series of releases. Each release provides a piece of the final solution that the user community can use. Subsequent releases morph the solution to add features and functions that will ultimately lead to a complete solution. Typically, iterative methodologies divide the tasks into 4 phases: inception, elaboration, construction, and transition, or some similar names. The inception phase is the initiation of the project and only occurs once. The remaining 3 phases overlap and are repeated for each release. Most business analysis activities will take place during the inception and elaboration phases. Because iterative methodologies deliver the final product over time in a series of releases, the focus of the requirements is release-specific. That means that while the business analyst captures high-level business and stakeholder requirements for the project in the inception phase, detailed analysis and specification of the requirement is done for each iteration during the elaboration phase and focusing on the requirements for that release. The Agile approach is a child of the 21st century. It takes the iterative concept to the extreme and assumes a state of constant change. Agile projects manage change by maintaining an ongoing communication between the business community and the developer community. It recognizes that requirements cannot always be defined at the beginning of the project, but need to be re-evaluated and refined on a daily basis. Many Agile approaches are in use today. One of the most popular is the Scrum approach that involves brief daily meetings to discuss progress and establish expectations. An Agile team consists primarily of developers and representatives of the business community. It includes a full-time business analyst if the complexity of the solution warrants it. Otherwise, the product owner, developers, and testers wear the business analysis hat when and where needed. High-level business requirements need to be articulated and agreed upon before the project can be initiated. Specific requirements in the form of user stories are analyzed and specified immediately before developers need them. Documentation in Agile projects tends to be minimal and are sometimes discarded as soon as the immediate need is satisfied. As the BA, you will most likely not be able to select the ideal methodology for your project. However, you should be aware of how the selected methodology influences your business analysis activities on the project.